turns out there was quite a gap between the slogan, a sophisticated European-style yogurt for the modern woman, and, well, come lick the yo play off my thighs.
Yeah, I decided that we would spend the week familiarizing ourselves with the most bizarre and unsettling children's TV shows of all time, because why not? British cartoon that ran for a couple of years in the 90s about a group of woodland animals trying to survive. Spoiler alert, they didn't. Think violence levels of Watership Down, just with more species involved. Got us in this back room, and this one customs dude is guarding the door with a frickin' machine gun around his neck. The other is tearing through our luggage, screaming at us in Spanish because he found half a bottle of whiskey.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.
So, special announcement. This is actually our 200th full episode since we debuted on YouTube.
Between this show and Snaggletooth's rock and roll show, so.
Remember those first couple of shows, how we battled with software and we had to redo the first episode like 6 times. It was ridiculous, right?
Anyway, come a long way.
But the main thing it made me think of was how many beers is that? Oh my
And
goodness.
it was
Imagine.
kind of monumental, and I think it's only appropriate we will be headed back to Maryland Death Fest next weekend.
That's right.
Or right after our 200th
You
episode.
guys gonna get a room or what? I'm gonna say the kids are not all right. Through the miracle of the World Wide Web, which does anybody say World Wide Web anymore?
Only if they get caught in it.
Yeah. I decided that we would spend the week familiarizing ourselves with the most bizarre and unsettling children's TV shows of all time, because why not? Now, a lot of people will recall stuff like Teletubbies and Ren and Stimpy, but that's just scratching the surface. And for each show, I decided to look at a combination of psychological scarring, freakishness, and watchability.
Cow and chicken. A cow and chicken from the same birth mother, and people think that Kim and Chloe look unrelated. Most of the episodes seem to revolve around chicken, who they let run around.
Let that chicken run
They
around.
let around. Getting into some kind of trouble, and cow has to change into super cow to save the day. Why does this alter ego speak Spanish? Hey, sera, sera. There's lots of snot and milk flying around, and the devil is a recurring character as well.
I think this simple formula made the show watchable. Cow, chicken, the devil, who in his evilness rarely wears pants. Really not too far off from the Looney Tunes episodes we liked growing up, except instead of duck season, wabbit season, it's rescuing the scrappy 4-pound chicken from Folsom Prison, where an inmate escaped by switching name tags. Hey, it could happen. Chickens generally don't have photo IDs, ironically speaking. Okay, here's another one. Animals of Farthing Wood. British cartoon that ran for a couple of years in the 90s about a group of woodland animals trying to survive. Spoiler alert, they didn't. Think violence levels of Watership Down, just with more species involved. 24 main characters died over the space of 39 episodes. Deer and rabbits are randomly shot. Hedgehogs are run over on the freeway. Death toll-wise, this one rivals Goodfellas and Game of Thrones.
And it's not just brushed over and on to the next scene. The grave scenes are heart-wrenching, with fox and bird parents sobbing over the senseless deaths. This show makes Bambi look like Blue's Clues. Bambi loses one parent and generations are traumatized. Animals of Farthing Wood was like, hold my beer. By episode 12, the kids are watching at home, sitting cross-legged, Capri Sun long forgotten, in front of the TV, learning about mortality, human indifference, and survival's guilt. What fun!
Okay, here's another one. Round the Twist. Australian kids show from the early 90s. The story centers around the Twist family, widowed father Tony and his 3 children, Pete, Linda, and Bronson, who moved from the city into, get this, a haunted coastal lighthouse in the fictional town of Port Noranda. Talk about moving on up in the weird side. Known for its bizarre, irreverent, and supernatural storylines, it's one of those that seems like a normal kid's show for the first few minutes, then it takes some bizarre turn like the writers just suddenly had unrestricted access to hallucinogens.
For instance, an ice cream machine that turns human, dispensing soft serve out of its nose, or an actual pissing competition. Yes, that's right. One episode, the youngest is sad because his stream doesn't measure up to the other boys. But he meets some kind of water apparition, unhappy the town is building a dam. The kids gets construction on the dam to stop, and in return, the water fairy gives him his superhuman urinary powers that impresses all the boys in school.
We've all wanted that. I mean, who hasn't wanted that?
That episode alone should have triggered at least 3 meetings at the network. I'm pretty sure it's still streaming on several platforms to this day.
See what you did there. This one is interesting because of the variety and the freakishness, but it's nowhere near as scarring as the aforementioned Animal Massacre Weekly or even Cows, Chickens, and Satan. Perhaps the most unwatchable that I encountered was a short-lived Nickelodeon cartoon called Invader Zim. The series follows Zim, an overzealous yet deeply incompetent alien invader from the militaristic Urkin Empire who is banished to Earth. Kind of sounds like L. Ron Hubbard. He meets his archenemy Zib in school, who somehow figures out he's an alien, but he can't convince any of the other kids.
Then the show immediately snorts 6 pounds of pixie sticks and launches into a sugar high madness. Zim's home planet of Urk has this odd caste system based on how tall you are. He's got this backpack with weird retractable appendages and this robot that is never around when he needs him. Way too many characters, including a floating purple moose, TV scientist, and a class hamster that changes into a giant moth. I tried to hang in there, but it was almost like watching someone else play a Nickelodeon video game that introduces a new character every 10 minutes. It somehow rivals the complexity of Westworld, but in the end, you only witness the food fight.
Here's a good one, Pinky and the Brain. This one scores high marks for mental scarring as well as watchability. The premise itself is simply ghastly. 2 lab rats who have been injected with all manner of experimental substances, residing in that maker of all things deadly, Acme Labs. It leads the brain to develop superior intellect, which he uses to concoct plots of world domination.
Megalomaniacal and short. Napoleon complex, anyone? The Pinky character has the intelligence of a doorstop, but is always loyal to help execute the brain scheme. He also uses bizarre catchphrases like Narf, Wait, and Zort. The first scene I got to see was the heart-wrenching capture of the 2 mice, separated from their families. What kind of 6 to 10-year-old wants to see that?
You got me. The brain schemes range from hypnotizing an audience of country music fans into doing his bidding, or enslaving humanity by making electrical appliances into sinister captors. I have to ask, with all this superior intelligence, wouldn't escaping from the lab be like the first order of business? I mean, if I were getting injected regularly with 3 times my body weight in Revlon mascara, I think I'd think about it. Even if it was with a spoon tunnel through cinder block. All right, you want to talk about our feature interview?
Our feature interview this week is with David Dwayne, songwriter, drummer, and guitarist for the Florida-based black metal band Vithial. We have a fascinating chat with David about the struggles and triumphs he experienced in recording the scorching new album, Awakened Ancient Spirits. We get into the history of the band and how it evolved into a single-man project. We talk about the classic Florida death metal scene versus the scene today, and there's even a World of Warcraft discussion. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, let's get it going. This is Masquerading Deception of Tyranny.
Okay, let's talk about Ripple. Ripple is a wonderful charity dedicated to the cause of suicide prevention. It's a plugin that can be downloaded, and if someone attempts a suicide-related Google search, it offers up multiple resources to help people who are in this lost, vulnerable state.
That's right. Ripple's also been installed in lots of schools. It's a fact that every day thousands of people search Google with terms like how to kill myself and painless death. If you or anyone you know has ever found themselves in such a hopeless state of mind, please check out the link to Ripple's resources in the show notes below. I hate to say it, but so much of social media is just a lie. Influencers will have you believe life is just a stroll across a tropical island in your size 0 bikini, enjoying bottomless margaritas, but it's just not that way life is. Everyone has struggles. Everyone has problems.
This topic is definitely near and dear to our hearts. If you feel alone and depressed, talk to someone about it. Anyone, even that weirdo cashier at CVS. Always remember, this world is a better place because you are in it.
That's right. And now it's time for Obnoxious Trivia.
And now it's time for Obnoxious Trivia!
Documentary version.
Documentary.
Okay. She's got 19 pages of notes, people. I'm a little scared.
Just two today.
Okay.
Just two. All right, number one. Mary Reeser was a 67-year-old widow from Florida whose highly unusual death on July 2nd, 1951 became one of the most famous alleged cases of spontaneous human combustion. What was true about the scene? A. Most of her body and all of the furniture in the room were reduced to ash. B. Investigators considered murder by Molotov cocktail through an open window as a possibility. C. Her foot survived almost untouched, still in her slipper. Or D. The FBI had no theory as to why she was burned in that fashion and suggested aliens were responsible.
Spontaneous combustion. I'll say C. Her foot survived.
You are correct.
It's the weirdest thing.
It was a very, very weird case. It was in St. Petersburg, Florida. Basically, she was referred to as the Cinder Lady in the press. All that remained of her was part of her left foot that was wearing her slipper, her backbone, and her skull. Plastic household objects at a distance from the seat of the fire were softened and had lost their shapes, but nothing else was burned but the chair she was in and her. The FBI eventually declared that Reeser had been incinerated by wick effect. Basically, she was smoking and taking sleeping pills. So her cigarette fell onto her nightgown and ignited her. And once the body starts to burn, there's enough fat there that the FBI says it would just slow burn until there was nothing left of her. That was their theory. But some people still disagree that this was an actual act of spontaneous combustion.
Interesting. Okay. I got one right. We can stop now if you want.
You're
Okay.
doing great. Number two, the elixir sulfonamide disaster of 1937 happened when a new antibiotic pill was desired in a liquid form. It was released untested by the S.E. Massengill Company, resulting in the deaths of 105 people. What was the fallout for this company? A. The company paid a fine for misbranding as an elixir, but no one faced prison time for the deaths. B. The public outrage over the disaster caused riots in Tennessee, in which another 105 people died. C. When the FDA realized the liquid was poison, they launched a massive, frantic effort to seize the bottles, scooping up entire aisles of all products, causing some pharmacies to go bankrupt. Or D. The chemist, Harold Watkins, was quickly relocated to a bakery, and his name and identity were changed to protect him from the public.
1937. Based on prior questions like this, I'm going to say A. There was no one faced prison time for the deaths.
You are absolutely correct.
Because it was 1937 and there's no
Yes.
accountability.
It was 1937. There was nothing in place to keep untested products from getting
People
out.
just fucking died and it was like, oh, well.
Well, they had this antibiotic that was really great, but they wanted it for children. But the drug did not dissolve easily in water or alcohol. So the company's chief chemist, Harold Watkins, discovered it dissolved perfectly in diethylene glycol, which is antifreeze. Yeah. So
Okay.
there was zero safety testing under the Pure Food and Drug Act of 1906. They were under no legal requirement to test new drugs or formulations
I
for
do not.
safety
I do not have nostalgia
or
for this
toxicity.
period of American history. I'm sorry. I will take medical technology over nostalgia anytime. This is horrible.
All the company tested was that it had a good appearance, a raspberry flavor, and fragrance, and they just manufactured 240 gallons of it. They shipped 633 commercial lots. A lot of the deaths were children because it was a liquid medication.
Horrifying.
And there were, again, no law. And the company labeled it an elixir And that is incorrect because an elixir would have to be an alcohol. It was not, so that's what they were fined for. The FDA did quickly go into action and they did seize 228 of the 240 gallons, preventing hundreds of casualties. But the disaster remains the baseline foundation pillar for governing modern pharmaceutical safety and consumer protection. All because of this case. The chemist actually killed himself.
A horrible time to be alive. Okay, number 3.
Speaking of horrible times. The Radium Girls were female factory workers in 1917 to 1920 who contracted radiation poisoning from painting radium watches, dials, and hands with self-luminous paint. The factory insisted the paint was safe, encouraging what practice made matters worse? A, that the girls paint naked, eliminating the need for smocks or uniforms, but subjecting the girls to full body absorption rates. B, they worked around-the-clock shifts and even ate lunches near the paint, causing lunch pails to glow. C, encouraging nursing mothers to bring their infants and paint while nursing to increase production. D, the supervisors encouraged their workers to shape the brush's point with their lips or use their tongues to keep them sharp.
These are horrifying.
1917.
Painting radium watches.
Yeah, so if
I'm going to say C, bring your kids.
It's actually D. They encourage them to shape the brushes with their tongue and lips. These girls actually did glow in the dark after a while.
Oh my God.
And they started going to the dentist because their teeth were falling out. And
unbelievable. Of course, 0 lawsuits. No one held accountable, I'm sure.
So finally, they did. They hold their place in history and the labor rights movement that happened after all these girls died. And this actually was the start of being able that individual workers could sue for damages because of labor abuse and labor safety standards. And they actually established the baseline for pain and suffering.
By dying.
But all these girls, they're like, no, use your tongue. So they were ingesting it too.
Unbelievable.
Keep it sharp.
How many have to die? Okay.
So you're watching
very uplifting so far. I'm sure this next one will be about Barney the dinosaur.
The stomach ulcers, number 4. The stomach ulcers famously studied by Dr. Barry Marshall are considered contagious because they are primarily caused by the bacterium Heliobacter pylori. How did he infect himself to prove his theory? A, he had sex with prostitutes to show ulcers could be considered a sexually transmitted disease spread by bodily fluids. B, he deliberately drank an entire flask containing ulcer-causing bacteria. C, he stopped washing his hands and would often use a stranger's eating utensil right after them. D, he ate a raw pig stomach that had these ulcers.
Prove his theory.
Yeah, because people thought that ulcers were caused by stress, but he wanted to prove that it could be contagiously caught.
I'm just going to have to say D, ate a raw pig stomach.
It's actually B. He drank an entire flask containing ulcer-causing bacteria, and then he got the ulcers. Then he was able to take bacteria. They did play, actually, with considering it a sexually transmitted disease, because technically, if I had it, and I had an active thing, and we had sex, I could pass it to you like that. But they never really considered it sexually transmitted disease because it was only when the infection was
again with flasks.
Flasks.
There's so much with flasks.
It's for this, by the way.
Wow. Well, I started off good, but then I crashed and burned. So anyway, this has been Obnoxious Trivia. Well, if our Obnoxious Trivia isn't happy time this week, nothing is. Good Lord.
I had to go
happy. Okay. It's time for our Snaggletooth. We're going to call this TMNS. This makes no sense.
In 1989 through 1990, Bic, yes, the pen people, the lighter people, had the brilliant idea of trying to sell $5 plastic atomizer fragrances via gas stations and newsstands. Gas stations. What a better time to choose your perfect scent than following a Monster Energy drink and a diesel fill-up.
Perfume is supposed to live in a fancy department store under soft lighting where a slender woman in a suit and perfectly drawn eyebrows boldly sprays your wrist like it's some kind of confidence-boosting elixir. There it is again, elixir.
Bic selling perfume is like setting up a lobster bisque stand in a landfill. Two worlds that won't and should never meet. And let's talk about branding. Bic is trusted for two things: lighters and pens. One is for doodles and shopping lists, the other helps you light things on fire.
This suddenly turns a date night into potential Molotov cocktail situation. Select the wrong Bic, and suddenly you're explaining to firefighters that you were going for Ocean Breeze number 3, not second-degree burns and melted hair. Let's face it, some words just don't go together. Disposable Perfume sits right alongside Homeless Fashionista or Accidental Threesome. In terms of ridiculousness, this product quietly vanished, probably the way all bad ideas do, like a cheap cologne evaporating in a hot car.
Anyone with common sense would know that perfumes and Harley Davidsons are not exactly a match made in heaven. The rugged, tough image of bikers, sweaty from a long ride, covered in road dust, bugs, and motor oil, maybe some cigarette smoke, does not conjure a thought of, I'd like to bottle that and wear it to brunch. Well, even so, Harley Davidson briefly ventured into the fragrance business in the 1990s. Perhaps they were chasing that Ed Hardy era energy, fresh, woodsy aroma, complete with a touch of poison ivy.
The ill-advised idea didn't last long, as the brand's consumers were confused by the concept of manly AF scents, featuring notes of spiced rum, oak barrel, and leather. What should it have smelled like? Maybe hot asphalt, burned rubber, gasoline-soaked denim, and maybe a sweaty cotton bandana. Throw in a hint of brimstone and maybe some swamp ass just to really complete the experience.
Cosmopolitan magazine once asked readers whether they liked edibles in the bedroom. 65% said yes, and I guarantee this is the 65% that actually sleeps alone. Because edible bedroom situations are sticky, messy, tongue-cramping, certain things like hot honey absolutely do not come off easily.
Whoever would have come up with hot honey? I can't imagine.
At some point, you're not having a romantic evening anymore. You're pressure washing each other with a loofah sponge and discussing laundry pre-treatment options. But Cosmo saw those survey numbers and thought, you know what women want? Yogurt foreplay.
So they launched Cosmopolitan Yogurt, which may be one of the most confusing product tie-ins ever conceived. Cosmo already sold sex tips, fashion advice, celebrity gossip, with magazine articles titled 10 Red Flags. He's emotionally unavailable, but still good at texting. So naturally, somebody in marketing said, let's market fun bedroom time via yogurt.
Turns out there was quite a gap between the slogan, a sophisticated European-style yogurt for the modern woman, and, well, come lick the yo play off my thighs. How are the random consumers even supposed to figure this out organically? I could see if it was sold in an adult shop along with sex toys, edible underwear, and feather handcuffs.
But in a grocery store setting, nope, it doesn't seem sexy at all. I mean, whipped cream at least is squirtable and took on an erotic bent thanks to that Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass album cover. But yogurt, it will forever be associated with geriatric Jamie Lee Curtis bragging about her regularity as opposed to kinky foreplay. Really? Really? Kinky yogurt?
They thought, based on that 65%, that the money
Appalling.
would roll in.
Appalling, so appalling. This needs to stop. All right. Let's try to gargle with the little black metal. This is War of the Gods, the balance of darkness and light. Okay, let's talk about home nutrition. I think you have the very thing here. The very thing.
This week, I picked all of our products that we use to keep our metabolism running. So you can use all of these products. Oh, except for red carpet. These three. We have the best of berberine. This helps with metabolism, weight, and management support. We don't have any subpar berberine. This is the best of berberine right here. Why would you look anywhere else when home
It-
has already found it
It's
for you?
Berberine's greatest hits. Yeah.
It is right here. Also, we have apple cider gummies. These also boost metabolism and no need to take those nasty, nasty straight up shots. These actually taste good.
Ugh.
They smell like vinegar, but they taste good. Also, we have our GPL booster. This is a flatter wee fiber, which scares me a little bit. But I put some into our smoothie today. It will help suppress cravings, and you don't have to inject this. Just throw it in your smoothie. It's fruity. You'll love it. Also, if you would like a boost on your nail and hair, you want red carpet. This really works with vitamin E. It gives you glowing skin and thicker hair.
Look at this lovely specimen. I mean, what else could you ask for?
I take this every day. Hum has many products, not just for metabolism, but a lot of concerns. Not even sure about what your concerns? You can take their quiz, or you can actually talk to a dermatologist. They have them on staff over there. About anything that you want to. So use our link. It will save you off your first order, and it's a points program. So the more that you get, you can take off additional orders.
You can get them on a Zoom call and then say, I had a question about this dark spot on my ass. All right, don't do that, actually. Okay.
More often than you think with our patients.
Okay. All right, it's time for bombastic plastic.
Bombastic.
Bombastic!
And this week we're going to talk about Cryptic Slaughter's amazing Money Talks album from 1987. Now, have you ever found a picture of your parents when they were young? There's always that bit of denial at first. No way, that can't be Dad. He actually has hair in this picture. And what's that denim jacket? It's almost like a Kerouac vibe. You find yourself squinting, trying to connect this photo to your current version of the old man. Was there actually a time when he wasn't pushing a lawnmower in Crocs and black socks with stained cutoffs and a big old beer gut hanging out? Same with your mom. Wow, she was actually thin in the 70s? No crow's feet or marionette lines? Are those go-go boots? Is this the same woman that now gobbles pizza bagels and Chardonnay every night while watching Duck Dynasty reruns and complaining about the price of the electric bill?
The Santa Monica four-piece Cryptic Slaughter were a band that burned hot for a few years, dropping several scalding platters of hardcore fury infused with metallic rage and superb lyrics, condemning authority figures and questioning the concept of the American dream. I remember them as a slightly angrier version of DRI, but listening to this caustic record in 2026 is like looking at a snapshot of the crossover metal era at its most feral. The usual suspects get most of the discussion, whether the golden era comes up. Leather-clad long hairs banging into mohawks as the scene coalesced in the late 80s. Suicidal, Carnivore, Cro-Mags, Excel. It was such an explosive cross-pollination. Street kids infusing hardcore song structures with metallic riffage, capping it off with disgusted anti-Reagan lyrics.
I saw them when I was 15 at the Bel Air, Maryland Teen Center. They opened for Hallows Eve. And I can tell you, the one thing I remember, even back then, there were still people fucking playing pool. And I was like, fuck your pool game. It's Cryptic Slaughter. I mean, anyway. The band burned hot for a couple of years, but the scene kind of cooled off by the turn of the decade. DRI slowed their pace with sterile, tired records. Carnivore broke up. The bands that sounded so vital and potent in the 80s slowly devolved into punks playing mediocre metal in the 90s. Money Talks is the second album from Cryptic Slaughter, produced by Metal Blade Svengali Bill Matoyer, who manages to duplicate the everything in the red controlled chaos of their debut, Convicted. Bill Crooks may have had the best voice of the entire genre, that enraged stream of consciousness shriek that somehow vaults over the ludicrous blasting of drummer Scott Peterson and the crackling rhythms of Les Evans.
From the very first note, this is a brutal specimen of youthful discontent channeled through sonic violence. Peterson's reverb-clad rolls and double bass pumps are soon joined by Evans' signature guitar sound. somewhere between the tones of Surf and Soulblade. It's not long before the band unleashes that first dry snare outburst. The clatter of pounding against Rob Nicholson's stout bass tone is the perfect example of controlled chaos. The track is the first of many to shift seamlessly between hammering aggression and somewhat playful mid-tempo workouts, all of it sounding better, with Crooks clearing his sinuses on our behalf. Let's play a clip. This is Money Talks.
Money talks and people listen to get ahead against the war. That's this country built to form, and all I seem to stand for. So capitalism makes you free. This is no democracy. We have no humanity. Not in this society.
Nicholson's sly bass introduces the Crusher Freedom of Expression, a track that flawlessly juggles slashing fits of aggression with cool and distinctive Bond-themed grooves from Evans, plus a guitar solo, lyrical and melodic, indicating the band leaning hard on their metal influences.
Menace to Mankind starts off with a slow grind, but the machine roars to life quickly, careening over speed bumps of furious bass abuse and percussive fluidity. The verse sections are okay, but when Crooks launches into that throaty, echoing chorus, it's clearly the disc's high point. Speak for peace as you spend for violence. Lives will cease, our voices silenced. War is death, and you will murder. Unheard screams. I'll just scream louder.
Not bad for 19 or whatever. Pretty fucking cool. Again, a snapshot, a postcard from a time long past, seething youthful rage forged into brutal music, calling authority to the carpet over 30 blissfully violent minutes. So don't feel bad that you held on to that picture of your aunt from 1971 in a bikini. I mean, it's a little weird, but I won't tell anybody. File this one alongside Forgotten Classics, and if you don't know who these people are, check them out right away. Wehrmacht, Leeway, Beowulf. Collect them all. This is Menace to Mankind.
Was very interested to talk with David. If you haven't heard this album, it's absolutely a scorcher.
I was convinced it was like something Swedish or shit.
It definitely has that vibe.
Yes.
And it's just it's brooding, it's brutal. So I was anxious to get his intel, and it sounds like he's trying to get a band together. So if you're out there and you're into this stuff, I think David
Get in touch.
would love to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. All right, take it away.
Well, so good to finally talk to you. We only have 3 pages of questions, so don't
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. Really appreciate the review you guys gave. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was mine this week. Just really stuck with me. You know, sometimes after I review an album, you know, I'm done with it. Like Blood Incantation, I reviewed it, I was done with it. But I keep coming back to this. Like, you know?
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a really good sign. You know, when I
Interesting.
keep wanting to come back to stuff, you know, and probably going to end up being in our
End of year.
end of year
Mhm.
list.
Wow.
Really amazing.
Yeah.
So I do love the name Vithial. It sounds like it's a real word. It sounds like it's definitely something lethal, maybe a little vicious. How would you define what Vithial would mean?
That's a great question. To be honest with you, it's a band name that I made up back in like I want to say 2014 or 2012 or so. And I actually played shows with the band. And I was a drummer actually. So I was a band that I started, like it was a 3-piece band, and I had a vocalist and a guitar player, and it just didn't work out. And so, 10 years later, decided to start again, and that's my name. Like that's the name that I wanted to use. So I just was like, I'm doing this. I thought about other names. It doesn't actually have a meaning, to be honest with you. It's just a name that I made up. But to me, it means a lot. So, and I'm trying to actually define that with the album here. I still don't have a actual definition of what it means, but you can start to see where I'm going with things with the album. So hopefully one day I'll be able to tell you that. But to me, it's kind of like, the band Immortal. They have their own little world that they have created. I don't necessarily do that. Like I kind of have dark fantasy, as you know, but I don't create my own world or anything. But Vithial is like the stories I tell and the overarching theme of the album, if you will. But we can get more to that in a minute.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of Immortal, really weird. A couple years ago at MDF, Abbott played, and he like pulled up in a limousine and got out, and we're like,
Oh wow,
signing autographs and taking selfies, like he was like David Lee Roth or something. It was really weird.
Like,
It was weird. Yeah.
he's a character. Yeah.
Yeah. It was very unusual. Yeah.
yeah. Don't see that often in someone in corpse paint.
No, you don't.
See it.
No, and they had the full, the full outfit on, the full Immortal gear. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, we were a little too far back, but I was like, damn it, we should have been up.
No, I know, right? Yeah.
Get it autograph.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like early on you were trying to pull a full band together. At what point you decide the music couldn't wait? You're just gonna go ahead and get this puppy out there yourself and take on everything.
Yeah, probably late 2024 was when that kind of, and maybe early 2025 even. I jammed with quite a few people trying to make the band thing happen in my local area and for what I want to do. And everybody just has different wants out of a band. Some people want to play live. Some people want to do studio stuff and go, which is I'm kind of in that boat of I want to do it all, but it's hard to offer. It's hard to stick to a vision when you have different people wanting different things, and so far it just hasn't worked out for me. So I just decided that I had songs that I wanted to stick to, and I should have just done this the whole time. I should have just I should have basically started my own thing. Now, back, 10, 15 years ago, it was a lot harder to record and more expensive, and just things were out of reach. Now it's a lot easier, not to downplay recording or writing music or anything, but it's more accessible, I should say. And I can do those things now. I'm in a better place. And I'm able to actually get something done, and I can do that. And I just felt like, when people tell you to, I just had to get it done. Like you said, it was at the point where I had stuff done and nothing's holding me back but myself at this point. And I'm not going to continue to make excuses of anything. But basically I just had to get it out there, and I'm trying to force myself into existence with this solo project. It's not exactly easy. There's a lot that goes into all of this, as you probably know, talking to people. I'm starting to really see that now with releasing an album, but it's a lot. So I actually starting to see how it all works and stuff like that. Putting an album out there and getting connections and just releasing music in general and the things that come along with it. It's not easy, and nothing's handed to you, and it's all manual work. So, maybe this was for the best, because I'm still learning it, and it's just a lot, and I don't know if everybody wants to deal with that. And that's just, I want to do it all. So I'm learning it all and just trying it all out and seeing where it goes. Really, I have no real expectations, but I'm just trying to do what I can and get what successes I can, if possible.
So you were trying to get out of Mexico?
Into Mexico. I was trying to get into Mexico.
Oh.
So they've got us in this back room, and this one customs dude is guarding the door with a freaking machine gun around his neck. The other is tearing through our luggage, screaming at us in Spanish because he found half a bottle of whiskey.
So what did you do?
Well, I had actually sewn some Cuban cigars into the liner of my suitcase. And of course, as soon as they got to it, oh, hi. Hey.
We know you're here for our epic chat with David from Vithial, but just a quick reminder. We do interviews like this every single week on Snaggletooth Decay, like our incredible chat with Paul Speckman from Master. He even pulls out his guitar to play us something.
That was because of you. Or our endearing convo with Michael Balla of the Chicago-based death metal band Necronomicon Ex Mortis, which takes an unexpected turn into must-have jazz fusion records. At any rate, don't forget to subscribe today, and you'll never miss another classic Mark and Stace interrogation. And now, back to Vithial. Yeah, it seems like 10 years ago we saw it a lot less, the one-man outfit, but we've had so many on the show. We've had Black Braid and Moonchapel and who else? One-man bands. We've had a few, haven't we? It's more and more common now.
Yeah, it is. Like you said, I think it's because technology's come so far that you can have it reasonably in your house.
Yeah.
Instead of,
Right. Yeah. Yep. So that's a big part of it for sure. I mean, I probably should have done this to begin with, just because I have a very specific vision and that not everybody agrees with, and that's fine.
Right.
Not everybody likes black metal, or that's my favorite genre, but I have my own take on black metal, and I have my own spin on things that I'm trying to do, or my own visions and influences that I do share with a lot of people. However, everybody wants different things, and sometimes it becomes noise. So it's just time to get some stuff done.
Yeah.
Normally, when you think of Florida, it's like a hotbed for death metal, Morbid Angel, Obituary, Inhuman Condition, Death. What's your theory about why Florida is this hotbed for this? Is the humidity, the latitude, the Everglades?
Scott Burns, yeah.
Yeah, I really don't know, because today I don't feel like it is that way. A lot of those bands that are either, older or not around anymore, like Death, they're, Chuck passed away a long time ago. And some of the bands maybe moved. I know Obituary's still here. I don't think Morbid Angel is Florida based anymore, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they are, but there's two different bands now, for example. So I'm not too sure, because that's a bit before my time, but I really don't know. Like, it kind of blows me away, actually. Where I live I'm not near Tampa, but I wish I was, but compared to here, but that always really, when I was younger and I saw that in the 90s, it really stuck with me. Like the way that the death metal bands used to be kind of on MTV and stuff like that. And that was just so cool, because that was just the heaviest of music at the time. And so to see that maybe kind of on MTV, even like if you go back and look at clips now, it's kind of mind-boggling to see some of that it was getting some sort of mainstream kind of push with the Satanic Panic and everything back that was going on. So that just all really still sticks with me, and I think about it a lot today, just because there was something about it that was just so interesting. The characters that were in the news, like Glenn Benton, for example, Deicide, another Florida band for sure.
Yeah.
That could be added there. So wish I knew, but not too sure there.
Yeah, it was when I first heard you, I went, "Oh, this is European. This
Really?
is Swedish. This is
Yeah.
European." And I was like, "Nope, completely wrong."
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
get it wrong sometimes.
I try and blend that. Like, I love the European, like I really love the European bands, that sound, the black metal sound, melodic death metal. I'm really big into that. Used to be more so than I am now, but hugely influenced by melodic death metal in general, Finnish music, Swedish, of course, Norwegian black metal, and all types of black metal, Swedish, Finnish black metal, German, I just like all black metal, all types of it. And it's a very diverse genre, as well as death metal. But I feel like black metal has a lot of diversity, personally, that a lot of people don't give it credit for. So I try and blend that, and I'm trying to make something that maybe somebody that doesn't like black metal might enjoy, but it brings a thrash and death metal background to it that maybe I can put my perspective on. That's all I'm trying to really do with the project at this point, anyways.
Right. So handling everything yourself, we always ask one-man bands or one-person bands this. Which instrument was the most challenging for you to learn when you became a one-man
Vocals.
moniker? Really, vocals? Okay.
100%, yeah. Because I took that on in the last year. I had my brother doing vocals for the project, and he moved for work. So I decided at that time, with everything else, with all the going solo, should I just quit or should I find another vocalist? What should I do? But it's really easy to quit, and it's the hardest thing in the world to keep going. Sometimes the easiest thing to do is just quit. But so I decided to kind of just rewrite everything, all the lyrics, and we had some lyrics that I kind of helped with a little bit, but not really. My brother mostly wrote those. But so I just scrapped everything for the most part, and started doing it myself. And it took a while. It took some time to really get it down, but and uh, and I never wrote lyrics before. So now I have an album with 6 songs with pretty decent amount of lyrics. Like it's pretty wordy. I think overall there's a lot of words, and I'm pretty proud of that. Because I spent a lot of time just sitting there. Like I spent multiple weekends just in a row just writing lyrics. Like it was pretty boring. I'm not gonna lie. Like there was times where I really wanted to quit and just not do it. Like
Right.
so it's not. I have a lot newfound respect for vocalists. Not that I didn't. I just didn't know. Like or I liked vocals. Obviously, I just didn't. I didn't know about the things that I know now. And also about lyrics. Like I know a lot more about songwriting lyrics wise, and basically I'm more picky now with lyrics because now I understand there's only so many words, and once you start writing lyrics you'll realize that. And there's so much to say, so you gotta get creative and stuff. And so especially with the word, there's only so many like that's why a lot of these death metal and black metal bands, they say the same things, because there's only so many ways to say those dark words, or like darkness, or the word darkness, or the word death. There's only so many variations of that you could say. So it becomes quite difficult, and that's why a lot of bands start sounding the same, I think, and maybe I'm part of that. But this is my first offering, so I'm trying to evolve. Like I see this as this album is my learning process to get to this point. Like this album is the last 2 years or 3 years of me working towards something, and I suspect that my next piece of music will be a bit better. Like because I know I can do better than this. Because not to downplay my work, but I'm just saying that this is a culmination of the last 2 years or 3 years of me trying, and me trying to put something together that's pretty cohesive. So it's an evolution, and now do I want to continue doing vocals? I don't know. I would love a band, to be honest with you. I would love to not do vocals and just do guitar, because that's really always what I wanted to just do, is play guitar. The problem is that I started drumming, and because you need a drummer, right? So, and when I started drumming, I just became a drummer, and so that was a huge part of why I didn't pursue. Like I started playing guitar when I was younger, and I that was my first instrument. And when I was like 18, 19, I started playing drums, and so I just kind of took that. I learned blast beats, and like that was like I just started playing in bands. Or I started a band, played, and it didn't work out. So I just kind of focused on my career for a while. But yeah, vocals. Or okay, sorry, to get back to that. So I played drums for a while, and I just became more known as a drummer. And it's really hard as a guitarist to like break out and be. There's so many guitar players. There's a lot of like guitar player. Like everybody wants to be a guitar player and write the songs, because that's the main driving force of the music, is the guitar as far as the songwriting. So this is me forcing that forcing my way out of being a drummer and forcing myself into a guitarist position where I can write the music I want to write, do the things I want to do without someone telling me what to do, pretty much. But yeah, sorry, vocals is pretty much the hardest thing. The breath, timing your breath and stuff, doing the takes. I'm still learning, to be honest with you. So I hope you enjoy it.
I think you have a rather unique style, and it's kind of one of those styles where you're understandable, even though it's harsh, which
You mean the vocals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how did you go about learning? Did you watch stuff on YouTube? Did you take Vocal Fry 101 at your local community college, or did you just study kind of the way people did things?
I just winged it, to be honest with you. And I have done vocals before. I kind of lied. I haven't done them seriously before, but I've tried to record vocals like 10 years ago and I sounded okay. Like I was always good at highs. I'm not good at lows at all. So I have a natural sounding black metal voice. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do it myself, was because I was like, man, I can make the tones that I want to do. I sound like some of the bands I like, or in some regard, anyway. And yeah, I think I have an interesting take on it. But I'm still learning. So, will I continue to do it? I don't know, but I would prefer someone who was like the vocal style that I have now. I can't do it while I play because it's just too much. Like I couldn't do all of that and play at the same time. Yeah, maybe I could, but it would be a learning process. I would have to write specifically for me doing guitar, but that's not what I'm focused on right now. I would rather just play guitar, but solo project. So maybe with the album release one day, we'll see we'll see what happens with that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's like spreading everywhere. They even had some woman in a beauty pageant. Her talent was like she just totally did like death metal lyric, like vocals.
Yeah.
I was like,
I think I
okay.
saw that somewhere.
She was from Chile. What did
Chile,
you
I
think,
say?
yeah.
Yeah.
They don't mess around down there.
They don't mess around down there. No.
But yeah, I kind of I didn't look. I probably should watch some videos. But it never worked. Like the things that I've tried that before. It just doesn't work for me. Like it doesn't. I just did what I had to do, and it kind of came out the way it is. And I'm not like it is what it is. Like, to be honest, like maybe it could be better. Maybe it's fine. Maybe it's great. I don't know. It's going to be in the eye of the beholder for sure on that. And but I just kind of did what came to. I tried to make it sound sick, like whatever. Yeah. And like I tried to do drawn out, more drawn out vocals, not like direct. I try to be atmospheric, but it does have a in your face. It does get in your face at times somewhat, but it also has the atmospheric vibe. So I think I did what I was trying to do as far as the black metal blended with death metal, Florida death metal, in the vocal regard, anyways.
So, for the things on this album, were there any tracks that you just couldn't get to work that are on the cutting room floor that you might, give an exorcism to later, or was pretty much everything that you had written went on?
You mean like when I was writing the songs, was
there any that just you couldn't really get them to work, so they're just kind of put aside for now, maybe to tackle later?
Those songs you wouldn't know about because there are definitely songs that didn't make the cut here. But these songs I stuck to them. Like 2 of the songs came very quickly, and I found this out about myself that you want to write a song quick. You don't want to sit around. At least for me, because I spent 2 or 3 years on these songs, except for 2 of them. 2 of them were fairly quick, and that's when I was like, okay. My new writing style, my writing style changed in the middle of all of this. Like I learned so much. Like 4 of the songs are a bit older. Like when I first started, like Soul Incarceration, the one you said you like, was the first song, but it developed so much over like 2 or 3 years that it became a totally different song. Like I completely gutted these songs 2 or 3 times. Wow. Entirely, except for 2 of them. 2 of them was just done, in 2 days, each. Tornadic Wind, which is song 1. and Masquerading Deception of Tyranny, which is the first single I dropped. Those two songs were just so quick that it was like I was like, wow. But the other songs I spent way too long on, I'll be honest with you. And it was actually agonizing. And you'll hear some of that agony in the music. So hopefully that seriously. Like I lived, I'll be honest with you, and some people might laugh at this, but I lived this album. I had the songs in my head every single day. I went to bed thinking about these songs. I woke up thinking about these songs. So you'll hear emotions from my life in this music, and so it really this album is kind of just I lived this, and it's kind of like my outcry of how I feel, to be honest with you, and but in a not exactly. It's like there's a lot of metaphors and fantasy, obviously, but there's a lot of like metaphors and things like that in the album that is like me just being emotional in some regard, as far as like being a misanthropist, like not generally disliking humanity and what humanity does. Like man is evil. Those kind of things are portrayed in the album, and you kind of talked about that a bit. On the review. So I feel like you guys understood where it was going based on that. So I must have said something right or portrayed something right with the art and the music in general. So but yeah, the for the songs I spent like I said, way too long on, and trying to think. That's pretty much it. Hopefully that answers that.
Yeah. So sometimes if I'm writing a review, I think I'm done and I get up and walk away and start doing something else. Then I think, oh, that's the closer. Ah, and I got to go running back.
Yeah. Sounds like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
As soon as you get your brain going somewhere else, it clicks. It's like, oh, that's what I wanted the whole time.
Completely not related to anything. Is Pensacola on the Panhandle? Where is it at?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like by Tallahassee, or like 2 hours.
Okay.
It's kind of near Alabama, actually.
Yeah,
so
my
I'm not
family's
too far from Alabama.
My father's family's from Dothan, so I know that area really
Okay,
well.
that's about an hour and a half away. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not far.
yeah.
Maybe an hour.
Yeah, that's where we used to always go on vacation when we were down
Where are
there.
you?
We're in Baltimore.
I've been to Maryland one time and I really liked it. I did not want to leave. This was
Really?
like in 2007.
What part of Maryland? Was it Baltimore or?
I was in DC. Well, I was in DC,
Okay.
and the University of Maryland is where I was at
Okay,
the
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I did like a history fair and I went there.
Yeah.
That was in like 2007, a long time ago. But I did not want to leave. I just liked it. It's so much different than here. Florida is just hot, and there's no. I liked how you could get on like some trains and just go to like 4 states. That was so cool to me. Like here, there's nothing. Everything's so spread out here. There's nothing there. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Totally different. Didn't want to leave.
That's funny.
Yeah, we're gearing up. We went to a show the other night, and it was right down where they do Maryland Death Fest, and that's coming up soon. And I'm like, just
so
walking
jealous.
through there,
would
I was
love
like
to
ready.
Go to that. That would be so cool. I'm sure you go every year. I'm sure, right?
We go every year. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny. Sometimes we interview bands, and they say, "Can you put in a good word for us?" And we're like, "We don't have any pull, and we pay for the tickets too." I mean, just because we're there every year doesn't mean that we like know the festival, promoters or whatever, So, yeah.
So, like we were talking about that great cover art that literally looks like a glowing ember, and kind of something about the stonework and the thing in the middle made me think of Harry Potter a little with the basilic room for some reason. But
oh yeah.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it does have the fantasy. It's dark fantasy in a lot of ways. So I can see how you could pull that interpretation.
Just a little bit. It's just something about the stones, but it definitely looks like something is about to go down. Like they are summoning something and it's coming because it's glowing. So why do you think that people like this keep waking up these angry spirits when they know they're going to be annoyed at best?
Because the world that we live in today is not necessarily the best place. Mankind is inherently evil as a whole. So the album in general, the reason that the kind of central theme of the album is basically the spirits awakening and taking back the earth because the earth has become corrupt. Like, so the single I dropped today, War of the Gods, is about just that. It's about mythological warfare and basically the gods of darkness rising in opposition of mortal corruption. So that's kind of what, and kind of like a reset of the world in a way, from a mythological standpoint, divine conflict, cosmic warfare, that kind of thing. So that's where I'm coming from with it. And among other things that are described on the album, like, for example, song 4 is about, it's about becoming an eternal consciousness because the world gets destroyed. So yeah, very kind of a pessimistic outlook on things. But it's black metal, and I do have a lot of those kind of central black metal themes that black metal would talk about. Song 1 is about tornadic destruction and things like that, and basically, yeah, that's where I'm coming from with it. But from a fantasy standpoint, it's not I build stories around that, but they might have metaphorical references to reality. So by no means is it just a dark fantasy album. There's a lot of like real references to, like I said, metaphors that would make someone think. And listener interpretation, I'm very huge on that. I don't want to be like black and white. I don't want to be like, or definitive. I don't want to be like, oh, this is what it's about. Like there has to be for me, there has to be listener interpretation, because I love that. When I was growing up listening to all these rock bands and thrash bands, I always thought that. I always thought, oh, does he mean this or that? But that's keeps you listening to it or keeps you talking about it for years or whatever, maybe anyway. So I just don't like stuff that it's just definitive. Like if this is 100% what it is, then there's no room for like any type of imagination, then I don't like it, basically.
Right.
As far as like being really invested in a band or a song or whatever it is, I just like when the listener has a decision or can decide. I like to keep things pretty vague for that reason. That way that the listener can make the decision or interpret it whatever way. But with the album, you could look at it from a fantasy perspective, or you could look at it from a non-fantasy reality perspective, and it would still kind of make sense in a lot of ways to me, because even if I didn't tell you this album was fantasy and you didn't see the song or you didn't see the cover and you just heard it, maybe you wouldn't even know it was fantasy. So
I think we had a few kind of track specific questions. Masquerading Deception of Tyranny was one of my favorites with the tremolo work on that. What are your tricks for getting that perfect shimmering intensity? And it's because it's so tight and effective, which I think made me think you were Swedish.
well, thank you. First of all, thank you. I appreciate that. That's awesome. I wish I knew exactly what you were talking about. I know the song, but I don't know. Is there a specific part that you like, or that with tremolo?
The little tremolo part. What's your kind of strategy on how to make that sound so tight and shivery?
Interesting. Yeah. Well,
is it in the fingers or is it in the tuning?
Well, definitely partially the tuning, because for stuff like that, you want to be. I play in D standard, which is pretty much it's a step down from standard. So I'm not very drop tuned. I'm not in a super low tuning. So you want to be high tuning to get a higher tuning to get the high end clarity that you need in tonality from the chords and stuff like that. Just a lot of practice and basically a lot of recording. This album, I spent 2 or 3 years in a DAW recording, like for weekends at just period. Like my entire existence was like any free time, I'm just recording. So a lot of it was that, and honing in on my recording, obviously practicing, the tremolo, stuff like that. I do a lot of tremolo. Everything I do is tremolo. That's pretty much all I do a lot of the time. But interesting that you brought that up. So definitely songwriting matters big time. And making it to where it's a roller coaster. I try to make it have dynamics. I don't try and do one thing for too long. Even though it's black metal, you're going to have that drawn out everything in black metal to some degree, but I try and change it up. And I basically doing multiple guitar layering, it definitely helps with so the album has 4 guitar tracks going at any given moment. That could be 2 rhythm or 2 lead at the same time. So depending on the part, just trying to get good takes and being in tune, and there's a lot that goes into that as well. Just keeping your instrument in tune. It could just everything be a pain, but so I really appreciate you pointing that out and taking the time to care about that.
Yeah.
That's a big part
Don't
of
know
it.
if that's a great answer. It's just kind of a it's just kind of one of those things that I feel like that's probably partially my rhythm playing. I don't know if it's a lead or a rhythm you're talking about, but I'm more of a rhythm player. I'm trying to get better at leads. I do have quite a bit of leads on the album. I do a solo in every song, and I'm not a lead player, so I'm just trying here, So I went out of my comfort zone in a lot of ways on this, and it's a lot of practice and recording just nonstop, and probably too much, and agonizing to where
Yeah.
it wasn't fun anymore. I'll say that.
So now that you've done everything yourself and put yourself through that, do you go back and listen to like stuff like Dissection or the early Oliver and be like, how do they fucking do it? Wow.
It's yeah. I mean, I have more respect now. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Not that I didn't respect bands like Dissection, but I have a lot more respect for how great they sound, how old they are, and I just have a
production,
lot more respect for production and mixing and mastering
it's
now.
amazing. Yeah.
Although I did hire, an engineer to do that, but in the process, I was thinking about doing my own. I ended up going with Scott Elliott of Chernobyl Audio. He's a YouTuber who also does audio engineering. I don't know if YouTubers is his primary thing or what, but
Okay.
I found him on YouTube, and I've been watching this guy for a long time, probably 10 years or more. And so I decided to hire him. Turned out pretty well, very well. And but I learned a lot through the process talking to him. He gave me a lot of tips on, hey, so whenever you hire an engineer, I had to re-record all my stuff to send off to him. And basically, he told me how to like properly record and what timing, because maybe I was playing the bass. Like, for example, on my bass, I was playing too fast, and he told me to slow it down. Even like I was matching the guitar on the bass, and he told me he told me to play half a step of or half speed of what the guitar is doing. And so I think it turned out great in that regard. I forgot the question. I'm sorry. I'm just
No, that's all.
rambling
I
at this
just
point.
I was just saying it was basically how recording yourself makes you appreciate those classic
Oh
albums
yeah,
even
yeah,
more.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, big time. I mean, yeah, and also sound. I can hear. I can hear mixes a lot differently now. Like I can appreciate what's a really good mix. Not. There's a lot of mixes that were good, but they're just not. They're not like a really good mix. Like for example, the album "Sons of Northern Darkness" by Immortal, which is
Mhm.
mixed and mastered by Peter Takgren. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but he's the leader of the band Hypocrisy, and he's also a audio engineer guy, and he was recorded a lot of major bands, like for example, Sons of Northern Darkness with Immortal, which I love the mix on that album, the way the drums sound, the way the guitar sound, just everything. So now I'm getting really into sound design a lot more, not just like playing a riff, like it's more than that. It's the whole thing that I'm trying to learn. So very appreciative of that, and always learning in every aspect of pretty much my life. I'm trying to learn something. I have to be a sponge. So,
Right.
so always constantly learning, pretty tired mentally. I also do, I'm an IT person. I do technology for work. So, I'm constantly having to learn there. Then I go home and I'm learning music. So it's just never ending technology, pretty much.
Do you find yourself having to use social media a lot more now that you have to promote your band, or?
Yeah, that's pretty much the only reason I have social media, to be honest with you.
Yes, us too.
I mean, yeah. Other than that,
It's like a
doom
necessary
scrolling.
evil,
So
right?
right. If it wasn't for music, I probably would just delete social media.
Yep, same here.
Yeah.
Actually, I did have social media deleted for like 10 years before I came
Really?
back to music. Yeah, I was social media gone for 10 years. And
Yeah.
I mean, I did YouTube. And watched
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah.
I mean, but I didn't have like Facebook. I didn't have, any of that until I was like, hey, I'm doing music again. It's the only reason that I'm doing it. So
If you have something to promote, you
Yeah.
kind of can't get
yeah.
away from it,
I
So,
mean, I have friends I appreciate, that I've met, which is great. I mean, everything is connections in music, like period. Like, I mean, and you really see that when you start a band or whatever, but everything in music is about you putting your name, like you basically like I promote you and you promote me. That's how it works. Like we all
right.
have something to give each other in some way. Like so everybody helps each other or should. That's how
Right.
everybody should be trying to build each other up and not tear each other down. That's just how I see it. But
Yeah, my brother he's a IT genius, right? And he got into Facebook when it was new, right? So he signed me up for it. And the first people that reached out to be friends were people I had fired and ex-girlfriends. And I was like, this sucks. Delete. This is a terrible program, right? So I mean, I wasn't ready for that. I was like, I didn't think you people were going to come back at me, like you, you were supposed to be in the
yeah,
woodwork.
yeah. Welcome to social media.
Yeah, so it took me about 10 years to warm up to it. Yeah. So yeah.
So I kind of wanted to pick your brain about that too. Like, I know you were talking about when we were all talking about like the evil that just it's always in the world and it just kind of keeps getting reborn and
Rebranded.
rebranded.
Yeah.
Right.
The Falcon can no longer contain the Falconer and all that stuff.
Right.
But do you think now that we have like literally a phone in our hand and, cameras everywhere, that a lot of this corruption, like, the Epstein files and all that crap, the wars and genocides that we probably weren't getting live feeds of. Is that what makes it more crazy today than when it was JFK time and we all turned a blind eye to the fact he was probably with
Right.
Marilyn Monroe because it wasn't our business and now everything's our business? Is that why it seems so horrible out there right now, or is it getting worse?
Yeah, I believe so. It's propaganda and programming. So that's pretty much what all this is. All the some things. Every post you see has an agenda, and they're trying to sway you one way or the other. And it's just like I'm tired of being swayed. Just let me exist. And yes, I mean, you're right. So I mean, the evil's always probably been there. It's just now it's more in the open, like you're saying. So. It's chaos. We live in a world of chaos, and it's out in the open, and that's why black metal is more important than ever as far as being rebellious against that. We're being rebellious against the evils of the world, or against any organized type of control. To be honest, so that's pretty much why that's the to me that's the essence of black metal is rebellion. So that's partially a big reason why I write black metal and I play the music I play is the rebellious spirit and things like that.
I really like how you said you vary things up because masquerading just knocks you right over from the get-go. But the title track has that kind of intro with the harpsichord like tones and the kind of the ghostly
Right.
ahs. How did you create that? Was it all synthesizers and stock ahs?
Yeah, so the synth on the album is all like me manually like writing it on like a program. It's VSTs, but it's basically like digital synth or digital keyboards. So yeah, that actually started with, all the synth on the album I came up with. Not every song has synth. I actually was a lot deeper into the synth at one point and had a lot more synth passages and stuff going on. But I dialed it back because I didn't want to be symphonic. But some songs still you can hear, more synth. Like that song I actually dropped it as a single, and it was a different name back in 2024, but I rebranded the song, did a lot of the song, did my vocals on it. It was my brother. So that there was a different name, and then I redid the
Oh, it was
song
Demon something, wasn't it?
Demonic Awakening, yeah.
Yeah.
So it became Awakened Ancient Spirits, which is the album title. And um so all the synth comes from like guitar. I start with guitar, and I just kind of write in the synth that makes sense behind it. I like playing to like synth drones, which is like if you press like a key and it just the one key plays, and you can play guitar on top of that and do a scale, and if you're in key it sounds good. So that's kind of how really a lot of the synth on that song is following the guitars or doing what the guitars were doing. So that kind of just naturally happened. I don't really have a way. I don't know exactly how. To be honest, some of these are just miracles to me. I don't even know how how they became what they did, based on where they started. Because now looking at these songs, they're some of them have a lot going on. Like that one kind of does. So, yeah, hopefully that answers it. But I don't have an exact answer for that as far as like how I did that, but it's manually programmed, and I sat with the song for a long time and played it, and I kept running it back in my head, and eventually whatever the issue was that I was at that part, if I'm at a part and I can't figure out the next part, then eventually I just keep playing it until that part comes to me. And so that's kind of how, and the intros and outros, that comes last. So the intro for me, most of the time for that song, the intro, I'm pretty sure, and the outro or whatever happened there comes last. And the synth is never first for me. So that was probably a final detail after the song was like written and the notes were there on the guitar. So I can be like, okay, I played an A note right here. And this is the chord progression of the song, D, then A. And then so I go, to synth, and I start plugging that in and playing around with it and seeing what happens. So that was what I did for 2 years, not just on that song, but on different songs and on, not just guitar, but as a songwriter in general. I did that for 2 to 3 years on the album. So, because I started working on it in 2024. So, that's how they all come together, and it just takes time and one element after another.
Speaking of synths and black metal, did you ever get into like Burzum's Prison Records? You ever listen to that stuff?
I don't think I probably have heard of it. I've heard of I knew he did music in prison, but I probably have heard it, but it's not a band that I listen to like on a regular basis or anything.
I was never into it, but some people say it's brilliant. I don't know. So I don't know. I was just curious if you heard it.
No, I might have. I mean, just because it's Burzum, but I haven't. I don't recall. Actually.
Yeah, none of it touches like Philosophem or any of that. At least it's in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So.
All right. So
I do like a lot of symphonic, metal, but I just didn't want to be, I didn't want to be full on symphonic. I wanted to have more of that thrash backbone. Because that's where my influences lie is, Metallica, Ozzy. That's my first two band that I really got into when I was a kid. So that even though I like all these more extreme bands, my influences are what they are. And I appreciate that. And the older I get, the more I like classic rock, or the more I used to hate classic rock, weirdly. Now that I'm older, I love classic rock, and I love those elements in black metal. Because I'm hearing some bands that have elements of classic rock chords, or the way that the 80s chords were used and licks and stuff like that. I hear that in newer black metal sometimes. I'm like, whoa. And I just love that. Sorry.
No, it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, your guitar solos remind me of another one man. He's called Mutant Sex Demon, and
Oh,
his stuff is a little more rock and roll, like fused. But your solos, I thought were, especially the noodlier ones. I was like, oh, I can feel that there.
Yeah.
yeah. You probably feel some rock going on. Some I miss the kind of rock fire that like songs had, or like the soul. Like I'm all about soul. Like I just want my stuff to feel like there's a person behind it, there's soul, and there's emotion. Like I'm all about that, because you can be technical all day, but if it doesn't have soul, then I'm just not that into it. Like, and that's why I like a
Mm.
lot of those bands that do have soul. Whether it's how do they portray that to you, it's different. You know, it could be vocal delivery, it could be a guitar solo, it could be the way the mix is, just really lays the soul out, stuff like that. But yeah,
So I know I wanted to pick your brain. I actually missed this the first time around, but I knew what temporis infantitum was. And then it came to me. That was on, did you watch the American Horror Story Coven?
I have actually.
And when she goes back in time and kills the Antichrist by running him over with
Hey,
a car, and she finally
spoiler
pulls
alert.
off that spell.
Yeah, spoiler.
I was like, oh my God, that's what that is.
Let's put that in. Yeah.
Is it? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's what
So
that
what
spell's
that
called.
so what that means, I made it up, but it's not. I'm sure it's used somewhere. It's Latin for time infinity. So basically the song means time infinity, eternity of the mind. So it basically means that you're becoming an eternal consciousness within the cosmos, because the world is being destroyed. In the song itself, it talks about the stars collapsing, and the and if you Google what happens when a star collapses, it says it basically says that it creates a black hole of void matter. So when you hear these bands talking about void this or void that, well, I tried to bring an example of void and what a story behind that. So that's kind of what that means. But that's interesting, and they probably meant infinity or time or something in the coven. But yeah, it's been about 10 years since I saw that. But I heard they're actually bringing the coven back. By the way,
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
excited.
Great.
We rewatched that because I don't think you had seen it, so I watched it with him, and then I was like, oh my God, that's that spell. That is the spell that they do. And then I started thinking,
now I gotta go look at that.
That's the spell, yeah. It's not the Coven season, it's the one after where they're battling with Satan. It's that one.
Okay.
Yeah, the one
yeah.
after that, yeah.
So do you think you get a lot of your ideas from books or film or literature or just reading mythology, or where does like that muse come from?
I think a lot of it is struggling with existence and the way I feel. So but I mean by struggling with existence, I mean just waking up every day and living in the life that we have in this world, and just being generally unhappy. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not saying I'm unhappy, but I mean the way that I perceive the world um is kind of pessimistic, to be honest. So that this is kind of an outlet for that. But some of the, I'm to not to be too nerdy, but I a lot of this basically some of the inspirations from World of Warcraft. I was a huge WoW player. Not that anybody really cares about my nerd stuff, but
I
some of it,
played that back in the day.
Even as a huge player.
a lot of the fantasy side comes from World of Warcraft, or things like that. So I've just always been interested in that kind of like MMORPGs. But I mean, I'm not trying to like portray that in my music particularly, but that's where a lot of the um some of the imagery comes from. But some of the other imagery, there is reality there. Like for example, the hexagram in the middle of the album cover that the people are the ritual that stands for duality and is used in a lot of different religions and things across the world, or history, or the occult, whatever, what have you. So it represents opposing forces, things like that. So there is some reality there, but some of it's fantasy. Like some of the concepts that I talk about are, the divine conflict and stuff like that. I've made it up, but maybe it was influenced from World of Warcraft or, you know, uh, basically, like I said, there is some occult influence there. As far, I'm not like a practitioner of dark arts or anything, but I'm just saying, like, but I do have those interests, and I question reality. I question what is life. I question what is death, and I question creation in a way, but not in a religious way, but in my own spiritual way. I think we all have our own spirituality, and that's kind of what I'm also trying to portray as far as thinking of yourself and individuality and inner thoughts as far as this album. And you might, if you read the lyrics, there's things like that come up, that maybe will talk about the things that I'm talking about now.
So for the like space time travel, if you could do that spell and go back and like think you changed something, do you think it would work and make it a better day, or would it be that butterfly ripple effect where like it just screws everything back up?
Probably the latter. Yeah, it'd probably be screw everything up. Yeah. And I also talk about like astral projection in that
Yeah.
same song, and kind of leaving your body and going into space. Um, Interesting concept for metal. I mean, maybe like, but honestly, I haven't paid attention to the lyrics a lot before. I'm not a huge lyric person until more recently, until I started writing lyrics. And then now if you notice in the album, I never say me. I never say I never say me, and I never say you. I'm not talking about any, at least I don't think I do. I'm not talking about interpersonal relationships. I'm not talking about any of that. This is all like divine presence and like or spirituality, this like the spiritual side of humanity, in the things that I'm talking about. So but yeah, I think that we would definitely if that was a real thing, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Obviously, it would be probably not good, because we would be leaving our our physical form. So
Yeah, I'm always impressed by, because we do a lot of reviews, talk to a lot of artists. When lyrics are written really well in English, like dark lyrics, but it's from someone who it's not their native language, like they're from Finland or they're
right.
from Sweden. I am always blown away by that. I'm like, wow, this is
Yeah.
written better than most Americans can write, and it's not even their native language.
Yeah, that is impressive for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's I appreciate that, because I mean, like I said, it's hard. It's hard to write, in my opinion, good lyrics that aren't kind of cheesy, especially in death metal or black metal. You could easily be cringe or whatever. So I
Right.
try to write something that makes you think. All I'm
Yeah.
trying to do is invoke thought, make people think, and maybe allow the listener to decide what they hear from it, because it can be interpreted different ways. Um, as I mentioned, previously with, older rock albums or older metal albums. So
Yeah.
So in the interest of good or bad, where did you play Alliance or Horde?
I've played both, but I was, traditionally a horde character, but, I've played Alliance as well, for my long time of playing. I don't play anymore, but.
I did for a while.
Oh,
I
really?
was dating this guy at the time who was into it. So I thought, well, I'll do it. And, that way, I'll know what he's into. So he wasn't online one night, right? And I just joined up with these people and we did a dungeon run. And I was the healer. And I had had a little bit too much wine and my reflexes were a little slow. And I think they kicked me out of the dungeon. I was like,
Oh, man.
don't drink in World of Warcraft.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
remember.
I don't play anymore. I played for too long, so I quit a while. The game's not that great anymore. So
Well, I remember our local radio station did this thing. I was driving into work, and it was my World of Warcraft ruined my marriage, and all these people were calling in saying, with all these crazy stories of,
I believe it.
yeah. I mean, it makes
Started affairs
it
on
makes
there.
sense.
Like how?
Yeah,
I'm
like
too busy.
you've got a microphone, you're by yourself, she's in bed, nobody knows. Every night, there it is. So
Yeah, I mean,
Crazy.
yeah, the WoW's definitely ruined some marriages, especially in the past when it was worth playing. Now it's
Right.
not
Yeah,
even
yeah.
worth losing some sleep over anymore. Like,
Yeah.
trust me, I want a game where I lose sleep over it because if it's that good, you don't want anything else than to play the game. But
Right.
there's no games that do it for me anymore. Like I don't know if if I'm just old now or like if I like, uh, I just don't enjoy games anymore. So that's, probably why I'm writing an album now. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, you're about to play our game.
Yes. All right.
Oh,
We play a game on the show. Okay. The game's called Blaspheming Monikers. Okay. And here's how it works. Okay. I have 5 band names in front of me. One of them is made up. One of them's not real. So I'll read them to you, and you tell me which one you think is not a real band. Okay.
okay.
We'll just keep going until either you get it right or we run out of bands. So, okay. Cross up yours. Rugged cross. Deathnick cross.
I
Cross
was gonna
my
say
heart.
that
Well, hang a
one.
minute. Hang a minute. It's 5 of them. Cross my heart. Deny the cross and upset cross. Which one of those
Like
sounds fake?
Death Nick Cross.
They're real. They're actually from Florida, thrash metal,
Really?
and they
Okay.
have one demo. Yeah. All right.
Okay,
So that leaves.
what was the last one?
All right, hang on. I'll read them again. Cross up yours, rugged cross, cross my heart, deny the cross, and upset cross.
Upset Cross.
It's
Is that
a
also a
terrible
band?
name. Yeah, they're real. They're Italian speed metal. They have one demo also. So that leaves cross up yours, rugged cross,
Rugged
cross my
Cross.
heart, and deny the cross. Which one?
Rugged Cross.
No, they're Christian heavy metal from the USA. It doesn't say where. They have one full length. No, the one I made up was Deny the Cross.
See, that one sounds kind of like that one sounds like a real band. Like,
It's an overkill song. But
oh,
it's
is
not a
it?
band.
That sounds like a straight up real band. Yeah, to
Yeah, I
me.
know, right?
Deny the Cross. I mean, that sounds kind of like some kind of anti-religious hardcore band. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
or it sounds like a crust punk band or something. I don't know.
Right,
Like
yeah. So,
some kind of like not necessarily death metal band, but like almost like a punk band or something. I don't know.
and of course, Cross My Heart's like all one word, so it's kind of like, emo metalcore.
That sounds kind of
like,
emo, yeah.
Yeah. Like I wrestled a bear once, right? Yeah.
So I do love your lyric videos. Are you planning any kind of more dramatic ones? I mean, maybe doing, you running around Stonehenge, I could picture.
I would love to do an actual video because I feel like it would do me some justice. I haven't started working that out yet, but I have a full lyric video for the entire album. So the 2 singles that I dropped, those lyric videos are from the full video that I'm talking about. So, but I think doing an actual music video would significantly help my situation. Like, I mean, I think that the music kind of needs it. Like, I need a real presence. I don't have a lot of videos of me playing music, especially guitar, because more, like I said, mostly I was known as a drummer, and I just haven't posted a lot of guitar videos until I was writing music. I was focused on writing music for so long that I just wasn't posting my stuff. And I'm trying to be more known as a guitar player, come out of my shell as a guitar player, not be so intimidated by posting videos because, all these guitar players are so flashy and it's just like it gives you imposter syndrome. But, my strengths are in my songwriting, I think. And, but I'm getting better as a player as well. So working on doing some playthrough videos. But yeah, I do need a legit music video. Of some sort that's real. Like I would like something with real, because personally when I find bands, what gets me is the music video or like a real video of the band or something. And because it gives you just that reality of, okay, they're out there doing their thing, like something about that I like. And if you don't ever see that, then it's just like you don't get that excitement, I guess. I don't anyway. So I definitely need to do something. But I don't know if I'll do something for these songs or will I do something in the future for a new song. We'll see.
There's because everyone has to pay for their own videos now. It's a lot more creative, and there's a lot more, like you said, sharing resources. So, like what a lot of bands that we interview say is they just find a video that they like that looks like it wasn't, $1 million, and they just reach out to the band and say, "How did you make the video? Is there a director that you know? Could
Right.
you recommend somebody?" I mean, like I said, that's one good thing about social media.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a video idea that I want to do. I don't know if I would do it for one of these songs. And I'm looking for somebody. I'm looking for if I could find a video person that that could make it happen and they were, somewhere I could do it. There's probably some people local, but I don't know, I haven't, I don't know what their prices are or anything like that, but
Right,
I
right,
haven't
right.
really looked
But I
into
mean,
it
if you
or
think
to
about it
see
also,
if they could
like
do a video like that.
what would have been a ridiculously expensive helicopter shot is now just a cheap drone.
Right.
You
Drone,
know what I mean?
right.
Like
And
it's
I do need that. I need some drone shots. Yeah.
yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah.
So
Because, it's an atmosphere. You got to get
yeah.
the atmosphere presence of the area you're in, and also showcasing the area you're in is I like that in black metal. They do that a lot. Not that Florida's very black metal, but you can make anything black metal. That's the
Oh,
good
yeah.
thing
Oh
about it.
yeah.
Like that's the cool thing about black metal is that a lot of people will just have this one thing in their head, but there's so many things you can do. It's all about perspective, in my opinion. And the way like you can have a riff that's not even black metal and then do a certain mix and it's black metal now. As long as it has the essence of as long as it just delivers the essence of what black metal. Like I said, I heard some bands doing classic rock stuff, but the way they did it and presented it was black metal, and I just freaking love that. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I can't remember which song it is, but there's a Dark Throne song that is AC/DC. What's the song? Hell's Bells. It's Hell's Bells. And I mean, it's
like
not even
literally,
that
or
much.
it just sounds like it.
It's no, it is. It's like it might be in a different key or something, but it's fucking Hell's Bells, and it sounds fantastic. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I kind of like the. I think that things have climaxed a bit. It's like where do you go in metal from here? I think a lot of people. I'm seeing a lot of bands go more traditional as far as like the sound. Like they're hating all the process stuff. They're trying to go back somewhat to old sound. And I hear a lot of new bands like not new bands but new music that I hear playing older sounding riffs.
Yeah.
And I like that. Like I said, I'm an 80s and 90s
Yeah, it's
guy,
great.
so I love that stuff. I've always gravitated towards old metal. Even I was born in the 90s, but even in the 2000s, I was quickly like, I like the old stuff. Like I don't know, I always gravitated towards the traditional old school metal, and I kind of am trying to deliver that now. But I'm also trying to keep them modern. I want to keep some modern sensibilities. So I'm trying to blend modern and old and black metal and Florida death metal, trying to blend it all and give something that's mine. And I think I hit the mark somewhat on that with
Oh
the
yeah,
album.
yeah. I think we love that album totally. Yeah.
Thank you. I
So,
really appreciate it.
would you go the Black Braid route and maybe get a touring band, but still for your next album, leave the creative process just you?
Oh, are you, I thought you were going to keep going. That's, I mean, probably not because I don't want to be responsible for everything necessarily. Like, I mean, I could write everything, but I ultimately do want collab. I'm just trying to establish like the foundation with this album. Like, so hopefully with the album, I establish like, okay, this is what the project is. This is, the album is set in stone. It is what it is. But I'm open to collaboration on new stuff for sure. And I would prefer to have a band. I didn't set out to be a solo project necessarily. It kind of happened, and it allowed me to do my own thing. But now that I have this out there in the future, maybe I have something to show for my work, I guess, and I could be like, hey, this is my guitar playing. So now I'm on something that uh, will help me join another band maybe, or because I'm still open to joining a band as on drums or guitar or whatever. But I also would like more than anything, I would like some brotherhood. Like I want someone to back the project up and I'll back them up. Like that's really what I want. But I'm not asking. I'm kind of tired of asking. Like, I don't want to even advertise and ask for it. Like, so if somebody wants to back the project, great. But if not, then I'll just continue doing what I'm doing. But it does suck to not to just be in a studio all the time and or not even a studio. I'm in an office, but which is my studio. But I would prefer to have a band and some brotherhood and collaboration within reason, as far as like and even if I was to get someone to play this old stuff, I would let them, like, if I had a drummer, like they don't have to play the drums exactly how they are. Because whenever I'm asked to drum for stuff, it's hard for me to play exactly what someone else did. So I would give people more wiggle room on drums anyway. Like guitar, different story. You can learn tabs or whatever. But totally open to collaboration. And because of that, I would be interested in having actual people who wanted to do it. Like, that's really what I want. I don't want to just fill a position because somebody can. I want someone to do it because they want to do it and they like the music. Like,
Right.
because if you're playing live and like when you're spending time and effort and energy and you have to travel 2 hours or 3 hours to get there, and then it's soul sucking when you don't really like the music, or it's not something that you really are invested in as a drummer. Like being a drummer and you're playing with people, and if it's not like really what you want to be doing, then it just sucks. You feel like a hired drummer. Like, so I don't want anyone else to feel like they're just a hired drummer. So I mean, I would totally be interested in whatever good opportunities are out there. And that's kind of why I'm doing the album. I'm just looking for opportunities, to be honest with you. Put it out there, see what happens, establish myself. And if anything, I don't have expectations. So I'll just keep on keeping on and hopefully get better, which I already know I can do. So next time they will make next album or what have you, they'll be like, oh, and they'll have a baseline to look at for my first album and be like, oh, he got better, or wow, this is a step up. He really progressed. So that's what I'm kind of looking to do. I'm looking to evolve as well.
So important question. You get one night only to be a monster. Are you going to go vampire, zombie, werewolf, or full-on demon?
Definitely demon. Definitely demon. If you can't tell by the album, I definitely would go. Although vampires are cool, I mean, but definitely would go demon route.
Yeah, are you going to think about a vinyl pressing at this point or not yet? It's begging for one of those orange splatter vinyl things.
I would love to. It just seems so like expensive, and I don't know if people would be interested. So we'll see how the album sale does, and see if there's a want for it. Because I don't know how many you have to print, but I don't. I looked into it and it seemed quite expensive. So hoping to get some support. So you never know what could happen. Maybe somebody will pick the album up. You never know.
Right. Exactly.
I would love to, if anything, for the art. Like, I mean, the artists knock this thing. Like, I think it really helps me portray my music, and I just love the art. Like, I mean, I'm looking at the CD right now. I mean, I'm always looking at it. I'm always like, this disc looks so freaking cool.
Wow.
So, I really appreciate the artist for putting like all of this effort in. I mean, it wasn't easy, I'm sure, and I'm not easy to deal with, I'm sure, but really, I asked a lot from him because at the end of the day, this stuff that you need a different size. Like, you need this one size for this piece, and then this CD needs this size, and then like the original cover art he gave me was just this, and then he had to go design the back cover, all this booklet, CD, and just everything. It's so much that goes into this, and this is just a CD. There's other things like banners that I have that he did for me. So it's really like, this is what I mean. It's a collaboration, and you guys help each other. Like, I am invested in the artist, and he's invested in me. This is what I mean. That's how music works, and that's why AI sucks, because you lose that.
The human side, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is all about connections. And if we don't have the connections, then what do we have? Like, what do we, if we're not connected in metal or in rock, then what is metal or rock? Does it exist anymore? Like,
Right.
so it's
Yeah,
always been about the brotherhood of metal and rock, really. So that needs to continue.
we go to a smaller festival every year. It's the Maryland Doom Festival, and mostly everybody out there is in the industry at some point. It's kind of like by the industry for the industry. And we're there, and it's amazing because most of the people in the audience are other band members, you know? It's a little
Yeah.
different feel. And everybody's super supportive and cheering everybody else on. And it's in this little, they have like two stages, and the one is really little. But we found some really good bands there.
Yeah.
It sounds really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much for this album. It's meant a lot to me. I'd love to see you be able to bring it to life one day. So
I would
I
love
wish
to as well. Thank you.
all those good vibes upon you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. And thanks for all the kind words about it as well.
The sounds of decay!
Okay. Sounds of Decay 1 is a new album from Kallohonka, Lazer Blood. Expect the unexpected. It's a cliche, but it's a policy I learned to embrace over the years. Probably started around the time when I enthusiastically signed up for women's studies freshman year of college. That class didn't exactly cover the topics I was hoping for. Also, back when I was in Scouts, we were fishing one time. One of the boys went to cast and accidentally snagged a fish hook in his ear. Screams, blood everywhere. My 12-year-old brain thought, I guess he's dead. But he wasn't. One of the leaders calmly pulled out a pair of snips, clipped the barb off the back. He was back in the boat fishing with us 10 minutes later. Then there was the time that the priests caught me smoking behind the school. I expected expulsion and eternal damnation. What actually happened? He bummed a camel off me, complaining that everybody else in the rectory smokes that menthol shit. Never forget that one.
So, what would you expect if I told you we were reviewing a band from Dallas, Texas with the word honk in the name? A Hank Sr. cover band? The Almonds' greatest hits? Maybe some yodeling about hobos. Incorrect, my friend, although I am interested in all of those things, truth be told. The band is Kallohonka, a 7-piece prog noise band in strange costumes named after a Finnish custom of airing out a bear's skull in a pine tree to encourage soul ascension. And you were expecting tush covers, come clean.
Yep.
The weirdness never seems to stop with their debut full-length Lazer Blood, which just dropped in March, offering 8 bonkers exercises in what the band calls slug metal, most coalescing in the 2 to 4 minute range. Bass lines burble, horns blare savagely, several females scream the paint off the walls, and that's just counting the first track, Experimenting with the Dead. Let's hear a little. Let's play a clip, Experimenting with the Dead.
Robotically birthed stumbles out of the gate with a languid, psychedelic pulse frosted with operatic female vocals until the whole thing falls through a trapdoor of aggro drumming, hard scream vocals, and hardcore infused guitar abuse. The track shifts in and out of carnival-adjacent keys and blast beats for a vibe reminiscent of mid-period Psy. Heaven's Gate is even nuttier, alternating between a bonk 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 calliope pattern and slow trot doom adjacent passages. Only constant being Amy Carson's vocals, caustic and ever present.
Finally, DMT deserves mention for the juxtaposition of styles and tempos stitched together with spit and chicken wire. Like most of the tracks on this album, it's a push-pull between standard hardcore tempos and mad hopping tantrums of Cirque du Soleil chromatic bleats. The change of pace here is the foray into what sounds like almost 12-bar blues, albeit played by a bass with strings flapping like shoelaces, guitarist Jason Mullins uncorking a solo that may not sound out of place on an Almonds track. See, it all comes full circle, people.
Yes, last week it was A Forest of Stars, and this week it's Kallohonka, and why not? Let the inferior outlets cover crap like the new Arcade Fire. We're going to stick with the weird, the wild, and the uncompromising. In the meantime, I'm craving something, I don't know, about 5 inches long with 2 nuts. You better believe it. I meant an almond joy bar, people. You pervs, get your head in the game. This is DMT. Okay, Sounds of Decay 2 is a new album from Archaic Oath, Determined to Death and Beyond. I've always been fascinated by the word orthodox. We all know the religious angle of the phrase, but to me it means obsessively conforming to an idea or doctrine. No wiggle room, no coloring outside the lines, no concern for what others are thinking. Is there some aspect of life you are orthodox about? I found that I am personally orthodox about restaurant menus. I think it may be my mom's shitty cooking when I was a boy, but when we actually went out to eat, the last thing I was going to do was question what was on offer. Or maybe it evolved by going on dates with obnoxious females, asking for oysters in January or onions to be caramelized. Honey, we're at the Waffle House. We'll be lucky if there isn't a cigarette butt in the hash browns.
Belgium's Archaic Oath is essentially the alliance of multi-instrumentalist Philippe Dupont and vocalist Arnie Vadenhoek. Both are veterans of the Belgian extreme metal scene, gracing monikers like Marché Funebre, Hell Bestormer, and excitingly one of my favorites, Hail Spirit Noir. Looks like Arnie was just named new vocalist. The duo formed Archaic Oath last year, and the new album consists of 8 songs, most buzzing around the 6 to 8 minute range. Guitars are majestic and frosty. Vocals are an exercise in raspy haggishness, and lyrics paint ghostly images of classy witch lore, spinning a ghostly album-long narrative. Wrath of the Witches is a textbook example of this duo's ability to conjure intensity, melody, and dread all in the same song. Built on a pomp-fortified, tremolo-picked melody, the track shifts from blinding speed to a stunning mid-pace stacked with gorgeous harmonies and back again. Arnie pulling from a cauldron of lyrical images like, and countless naked witches dancing in ecstasy, screaming in delight. Perhaps a little too much Chardonnay after the bachelorette party? Seems plausible. Let's hear a little. This is Wrath of the Witches.
Into the Temple of Light is one of the disc's more intense tracks, shifting to an interesting thrash speed pace early on. Dupont's casting of arpeggiated spells, an incredible melodic device. At this point, it becomes apparent that the production, also handled by Dupont, is some of the best I've encountered in the genre this year, recalling true masters of the genre like Dissection and Sacramentum, with the near orchestral lead build-ups and glittering hooky harmonies. Speaking of which, this track abandons all percussion around the 4:30 mark to uncork a gorgeous clean guitar interlude like something straight out of Bergtat or some shit. Yeah, this is an alliance that is capable of rivaling the true legends of black metal. So get over to Archaic Oath's Bandcamp page. The digipack of this one looks particularly cool to me, but it also looks like there's plenty of vinyl copies available, so get them before they're gone. A splendid modern bridge between the grim and the grandiose. Till next time, remember, they won't substitute burgundy truffles for a side of broccoli. If you even ask, I'm leaving. This is Into the Temple of Light. Okay, sound of Decay 3.
This is Necromorbid with Ceremonial Demonslaught. There's a certain kind of extreme metal branding that doesn't begin with music at all. It begins with the perfect moniker, like that old jelly ad campaign. With a name like Smucker's, it has to be good. Before a single blast beat pounds, the nearly indecipherable logo already lets you know exactly what delightful oral abhorrence lies in wait. Necromorbid practically breaks itself down for you. Death plus an unhealthy obsession with decay and all things grotesque. Bestial black metal out of Tuscany already sounds like Satan's vineyard, complete with goats, upside down crosses, a bevy of angry villagers charging through the night with flaming torches in hand. Speaking of monikers, when the trio behind the music goes by names like Archcommander Equinox, Bestial Desecrator, and Disanglium, that literally translates to bad news, you know this music isn't destined for the next Gilbert N. Sullivan production. For their third full length, Ceremonial Demonslaught, we get 2 shorter intro and outro pieces credited to Atrocifier, like an industrial equipment sound, slowed down and played backwards to horripilating effect. These bookended 7 tracks that mostly land in the 3 to 6 minute range, a sweet spot that allows the band enough room to build atmosphere without sacrificing the savage immediacy that fuels bestial black metal at its core.
An immediate favorite that had me feeling like I was headed delightfully downward at a rapid clip, while simultaneously wondering why I was suddenly in a handbasket. Forbidden Ghastly Curse. This track arrives as an immediate tidal wave surge of metallic violence, blast beats churning with satanic precision as Bestial Desecrator, aka Lago Bruschi, fully lives up to his moniker. Meanwhile, the riffs of Disanglium, Eduardo Denordi, pour out a tight-wound, distorted torrent of pure chaos. The vocals hover somewhere between a scathing scream and the poisonous hiss of lava vent tearing open. Underneath it all, the bass work of Archcommander Equinox, aka David Borghi, locks into a grim descending note pattern, steadily ratcheting up the song's oppressive, sulfur-soaked atmosphere. About midway through, Borghi's bass takes the spotlight, trading diabolical taunting notes with feral vocal yowls before being joined by cycling riffs that whir and warp like a lumber saw colliding with the hypnotic sway of a sitar, while the drums briefly ease the pressure valve back just a notch. Bruschi's kick drum... All right, I have to say this. The name Bruschi is starting to irritate me because I keep seeing Teddy Bruschi from the New England Patriots. And I keep finding myself thinking about, well, actually, I have to correct you on that, Coach. We didn't lose any games from 2000 to 2020. Bullshit. Anyway, sorry.
Not the same person.
Not the same person. Anyway, sorry about that. Bruschi's kick drum detonates into a barrage, as rapid and insistent as a sewing machine needle, rolling out quick strikes that like a sudden cloudburst of thick rain. Denordi's speedy chord shifts grind out a gritty, hypnotic pattern guaranteed to get shaggy heads nodding, teeth gnashing, and willing listeners happily signing the infernal guest book.
Manic savagery immediately gives the devil his due, bounding out of the speakers with the blazing double guns of Bruschi's blast beats and chilling guitar strikes that churn, burn, and leave skid marks. Vocals arrive in an infernal, phlegm-filled, yapping snarl, while the bass of Borghi pumps out low-flung chords that ripple outward in anxious waves, adding a constant nervous undercurrent beneath the chaos. Midway through, the band drops into a brief breakout of throbbing bass notes, tag-teaming with shuddering guitar distortions, before suddenly taking flight again in rapid swooping riff pattern as the drums clank out rim-shot damage and rapid stabby kick drum drives. After a brief guitar line undulates snake-like, the drums settle into a high-throbbing pulse, while the guitar notes begin to deform around the edges. Blast beats rain down once more in showers of sparks, and the guitars snap back to their original oscillating riff pattern. By track's end, the vocals drop an octave, like Dante descending into the ninth circle, or at least the eighth, as the subterranean percussive din rides your bumper and blasts its headlights until you finally swerve aside and give way. Let's play a clip. This is Forbidden Ghastly Curse.
I'm afraid I have to correct you, Coach. In 2009, we won every game by 73 points. I think my favorite track is Blasphemous Incantation from Beyond, and not just because it sounds like a forbidden spell broadcast directly from the Dark Lord's favorite dog-eared recipe book, wedged somewhere between goat blood reduction sauce and souffles of the damned. The band jumps right in with sharp kick drum terror of Brucey and dirty riffs that rip you straight out of the driver's seat and carjack you before speeding off with your stereo still blasting, leaving you standing there trying to process what just happened. Is this a bus stop? What do I do? Beneath the chaos, the bass drags out low chords that shift like seismic tremors underneath. Denority's vocals are at some of their most maniacal here, spouting shrieks and scorched scathes in every direction, like Old Faithful finally blowing its cap. Around the 2-minute mark, the band shifts gears into a doom death stomp, the drums slowing to an insistent thrum while the bass hangs thick, pitch-soaked chords heavy with pure vileness.
Over the top, the guitars continue scraping and clawing away with riffs that keep digging at the song like a dog obsessively working at an itch. The drums cease. The guitar leaves a single note hanging out to dry while the bass stumbles through a few intoxicated, half-lucid tones. An infernal scream suddenly jolts the guitars awake again, slowly yawning and stretching back into a full riff assault flanked by mid-paced doom percussion that strikes with the blunt force of a hammer slamming railroad ties into place. Eventually, nearly everything fades into stillness except for a trembling cymbal shimmer and a few strange lingering hum, like some unidentified craft quietly droning in from Area 51 airspace. A few tentative kick drum knocks follow before the band detonates back into full chaos. Tightly tangled riffs, blast beat devastation, stalking bass lines, and vocals that sound like a furious demon already on its last nerve before you accidentally stepped on his toe.
Sometimes, yes, it really is about satanic branding that comes down to a great name. An upside-down cross at the logo, striking black and white artwork that instantly tells you what kind of sonic flagellation awaits inside. Speaking of consistently great stuff, Necromorbid has landed at Gods of War Productions, a label whose very name has become shorthand to us for some of the fastest and fiercest underground extreme metal currently churning the pits worldwide. Fans of Black Witchery, Titan Blood, Blasphemer will find this kind of chaotic, savage, goat ritualized music ideal for getting weird in the woods with. Grab a stiff drink, some antlers, and a Holocaust cloak if you can find yours, and join around the fire pit. It's Dark Lord time. Let's play a clip. This is Blasphemous Incantation from Beyond. 200 episodes.
2
Look
episodes
at
in the
that.
book.
Absolutely.
You can be first.
Coach, I have to correct you. I had 5 interceptions in every game. I don't think you're remembering properly. Yeah. Not exaggerating. All the Patriots were dickheads in the booth.
This has been the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast. Special thanks to David Dwayne from Vithial for appearing on the show. Snaggletooth theme by Gustav Jord of The Fleshed. Sounds of Decay theme by Steve Rathbone of Blair of the Minotaur, who we will see Thursday night. Sounds of Decay bands include Archaic Oath, Kallohonka, and Necromorbid. All content 2026, the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast.
Hey, baby, I'll have you know I slathered myself with Ayoy hot mayonnaise, and I'm actually starting to It's starting to really burn.
Did you get it on your mucous membrane?
Fuck. God damn it.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.